Hey everyone, it's me, Legendary Flaro, and today I'm going to be doing another video that I've wanted to make for quite a while, and that is my expectations for The Flash Season 8. Now, I think that's kind of everybody right now. We're having very mixed opinions going into the season. I mean, we're all excited about this Armageddon crossover event, which is very special because we haven't had anything crossover related since season 6 of this show with Crisis on Infinite Earths, but what makes it better is this is a crossover event, which means it'll still be a Flash-related storyline and all. And, of course, the gold boots, everyone wants that. I mean, and they're getting their request for it. And then Interlude 2 definitely seems to be an improvement over Interlude 1, even though they only filmed the first 6 episodes, so we'll see how episodes 7 and 8 turn out, but the show hasn't even premiered yet. However, I'm just very concerned about how to go into the season. Like, I'm actually scared thinking about it, since it's coming in 15 days. I know I should be excited, but I mean, I think this is kind of everybody right now, since, I mean, of course, these last few seasons were pretty disappointing. Season 7 especially was awful. And you can argue, I mean, in my opinion, the show's pretty much been going downhill since season 4, although I'm not going to be talking about that one much because I'm mainly going to be focusing on season 6 and 7 just because, well, it's Eric Wallace. Now, of course, you all know that I hated season 6, or at least the second half, since it's really when the show actually got bad. Everything pre-Crisis was at least decent, but season 6B really disappointed me in so many ways. Like, for starters, it could have been a lot better with the villain, who was, I mean, it was supposed to be Red Death, because we knew he was name-dropped in Season 5 when they were comparing Cicada, the main villain, to a past villain like Zoom, and Red Death, who was also a serial killer, the same way they did with DeVoe back in Season 3 when talking about Savitar and comparing both of them to Thawne and Zoom. And you obviously know I still can't get over that, and why did I bring it up for the 100,000th time? I'll talk about that later in this video, but then instead we got a gender-swapped Mirror Master who is a villain we've already had from Season 3, and they turned him from Evan McCulloch to Eva McCulloch, which is definitely not a good idea, because one of the main things that is annoying that the Arrowverse does is gender, race, and sexual orientation bending. And, of course, the problems did not end there, since it got so boring at the point where the filler episodes became more interesting than the main plot, and it just didn't know when to keep going. Barry losing his speed was repetitive, and I even liked Sir Plaster Uzumaki, the Carnage Gods review on it. So, I mean, it was like, Oh no, it's the revenge of the mirror creatures. Well, I don't know, mirror creatures? What are they called again? Mirror clones just sounds weird, and I mean, everyone's a mirror creature. Even Eva herself. Hell, even Sam Scudder is a mirror creature. Okay, I'm starting to lose my chill. And then, it even had one of the worst episodes, episode 11, Love is a Battlefield. And it even had the most cringeworthy line that is,
Daddy likes the metal.
well, if it weren't for that, we would have never gotten the famous catchphrase, Daddy likes the metal. Yeah, and even the whole fan base agrees on that. Make sure you comment that down below. Daddy likes the metal. Okay. Okay. I'll calm down. But anyway, so then, after Eva escapes from the Mirrorverse and all the other mirror creatures get destroyed. I'm sorry, I still can't take that seriously. And unfortunately got cut short, which me and so many other people still have PTSD from that, because that's really when the show didn't feel the same way anymore. Not the same way season 4 lacked the same magic of the first 3 seasons, but just when it really started to go downhill in quality. And it doesn't help with all the times it got delayed due to the pandemic and all. You'd think they would have had a better chance to fix their writing, but no. Instead, they were on crack, and anyone who has seen Season 7 can already tell. And speaking of which, that's even when the Mirrorverse storyline got really ridiculous, how Eva gets defeated by holding hands and the power of love. What? That's so cringy. Something I'd expect out of Care Bears or something. But then, of course, when Season 7 officially started, we got the Forces storyline, which, I mean, an unpopular opinion I have, the Force Quest storyline is one of the best story comics in the Flash history. At least in my opinion. Not sure why other people dislike it. I thought it was very unique how there was other forces aside from the Speed Force, and I'm like, wow, I can't wait for this to come on the show. And I've waited for it for years. And by the time it actually came, it was so exciting, which is why I used to praise this season like it was one of the better seasons, or the best since Season 3. But of course, back then, it didn't get to the worst parts of the season yet. And even now, when looking back on it, it's such a shame how downhill this season has gotten. And when it had so much potential, but of course, so many weird things that happened, like the Speed Force being the so-called main villain for the story arc. Why is she the villain? I have no idea. I mean, decent rivalry, I guess, but her as a villain, come on, you could have done... I mean, I understand maybe not reusing Zoom. That could have been not that good of an idea, but it's better than this. I mean, hell, Zoom's my favorite of the Flash villains. Unpopular opinion. I know most would say Reverse Flash, but in my opinion, it's Zoom. And on top of that, They should have had Psyche be the main villain. Not only that, but also it got very corny with the family dialogue, which don't even get me started on that. I get a brain seizure thinking about it, knowing how ridiculous the show can become or has become. And not even the Godspeed arc improved on that, because I'll definitely be talking about that later. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose control of myself for a little bit. Anyway, and we got so many weird dialogue like, "Stupid boy, it's family game night. Fine, well I play to win." And also, because XR3N pointed out the fact that
Speed Force wants makeup.
and it's just hard to take seriously. And then, of course, we got the breakdance scene, and then the Godspeed arc, which finally came, but it was 4 episodes. Why? That's as big as a crossover event. Not even the biggest crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths. Normally, the shortest a season can get is 6 episodes. I don't know any that has been up to 4. I mean, I guess Armageddon being 5 episodes kind of makes sense because it's a crossover event and all. But Godspeed, though, he is not like that. He is a straight-up Flash villain, not involved with any other superhero whatsoever. So maybe cut out that interlude, which was unwatchable, pretty much, since it was straight-up filler and had nothing to do with either of the main storylines. And even now when I look back, not even the Godspeed arc was that good, because there were some corny moments here and there, like when Frost kisses Chillblaine, who I'll be talking about later, and I haven't mentioned him yet. And then air starts blowing out of a pot. It's so cartoonish. And of course the cinematography looks bad, and the choreography when you compare it to Superman and Lois or the earlier seasons. And if you think I'm crazy, watch Ultra Edits or his scenes on it. And then I also thought that swearing was very toned down, like when Jay says, "I say we give him heck flash," or Allegra goes, "Hold on to your buns." This is for teenagers or older. Why did this become a kids show, like Power Rangers or whatever? Also, did I even mention how in one of the fights Jay turns his helmet into a boomerang, and then Bart makes shurikens out of his lightning? What? And then, of course, Barry and Thawne come to confront Godspeed, and who made a lightning object out of the sky, which of course I understand speedsters can do in the comics, which is why I didn't rage out like most people did. But when watching it, I mean, Barry and Thawne did the exact same thing, and then it turns into,
What? What? They're doing a lightsaber fight? What? They're doing Star Wars now?
And then, when I actually heard what the fans had to say about it, turns out they were thinking exactly what I was. And at this point, it feels like the show has become a parody now. And did I even mention the fact how the villain who causes Barry to break dance has a name like Rainbow Raider? That sounds like the name of a My Little Pony character. And speaking of which, I got a story to tell you. Back when I was in 2nd grade, I used to watch Power Rangers all the time, but then I completely forgot all about it until everyone started bringing it up. Thanks a lot. Now I'm never gonna forget it, and it's gonna be on my mind 24/7. Either way, it just sucks how the graphic novel approach sounds so good on paper, but I've only liked the Bloodwork arc. Everything else was pretty bad. And I mean, maybe the Flash season 8 actually could be like season 5, being the major comeback from the worst season of the show, but being the best season. Even though I wouldn't go with those expectations. Do you know why I say that? Because when I was watching Arrow, I realized something. When Arrow gets bad, it takes at least another season or 2 to improve. While The Flash, on the other hand, has arguably pretty much been going downhill since season 4. And the first half of season 6 was good, but after that, it went back to trash, and when they did, they really crossed the line. And, of course, Eric Wallace is still around, and hopefully they actually do change the writing. And along with the CGI, the cinematography looks better, I'll give them that. And the writing, the dialogue, all of it. But anyway, why I'm concerned about season 8? Sorry about that. I had to get everything out of the way to recap why I'm not too happy about this. In case any of you are new to my channel. Pretty much, of course, I'm just as excited to watch it as anyone would be, since it looks to be great, or at least the first half of it, maybe, since it has to be one of the best story arcs, hopefully at least, since Despero is a very threatening villain, and also the fact that it's a Flash-centered storyline seems to be a pretty powerful threat. However, it's the side cast that I'm worried about, like the Justice League. We got Ryan Choi, not a bad choice at all. Ray Palmer, aka the Atom, not a bad choice. And then Mia Smoke, Green Arrow, not a bad choice at all, but something about it I'm a little concerned about. Lightning and the Black Batwoman, I don't know what her name is, the copycat. And then Chillblaine. I'm going to be touching very sensitive topics, so if you don't want to get offended, please stop watching the video now. But some of them are like black and female, and I don't know, I just really hope they don't shove SJW stuff down our throats, because Batwoman, the show, does that. I heard Black Lightning Season 2 does. And that Supergirl used to do it. I really don't want that thrown into the Flash, because I could stand the boringness of season 4, the incomplete mess of season 6 that was really disappointing and frustrating, or even the ridiculous cartoon that was season 7. But anything that has to do with shoving political views down our throat, or setting up racial segregation, or anything like that, that's a show I cannot watch. That's when I'm gonna quit, say goodbye, don't care. But anyway, what does that have to do with Chillblaine? I mean, before I get on to that, I'm still excited about Mia Smoke showing up, because, well, I am a huge fan of Arrow, and maybe Green Arrow and the Canaries can still happen. But it just looks so dull compared to the Justice League you'd expect. I mean, we obviously don't have Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, or any of those other guys. But what about Superman? We have him. How come he's not part of that group? Anyway, why I'm worried about Chillblaine. You all know that I hated Chillblaine. I don't know why he's coming back. I just hope they kill him off, because he's so corny, and the worst thing about season 7, from the breakdance, actually no, sorry, I'm getting confused with other stuff because I'm starting to lose brain cells. Like, I'm just gonna call him the super chill guy who's hot in here, and ripped off all his clothes. Well, you can tell he doesn't have a shirt, okay? And he says stuff like, "Stop staring at my six-pack." And then Frost beats him, going like, "Chill out." It's so cartoonish and campy. Well, still, at least don't make him too corny if you're not gonna kill him off, please. I'm just very worried, okay, guys? I want this to be better than Season 7. At least the first half of Season 8 to be better. Since I don't see much reason to worry for the second half, but hopefully it doesn't pull off a Season 6 on us. Either way, I don't know what else to say. I think I made my point across, but please let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, or what your expectations are. Like this video, subscribe if you're new, comment below any "it was me, Barry" memes. And either way, and this season doesn't have to be great like the first 3 seasons, or even half great like season 6. I'm okay with it being a B-tier season like season 5. Although, this show has become so ridiculous, then when Thawne returns, we might as well get dialogue like,
"Remember when you were making out with your first girlfriend, and she came right as she touched your leg? It was me, Barry. I jerked you off at super speed so that it will seem like you nutted at just a woman's touch. It was me, Barry. I made them draw Lola Bunny with sexual features so that you wouldn't be horny, and reduce your blood flow to make you a millisecond slower. Slow enough for me to kill Iris."
And one more thing, I just want to say, everything that I just said in the video is a really sad statement, considering how, you can still watch my last year's video called Why the Flash Feels Dead to Me, because everything there still applies. But main reason is because I notice I'm not the only one who feels this way, and that really makes me feel emotional, because this entire fan base has always been like my brothers and sisters to me, because I've been part of the fan base since season 2 when I started watching the show, and it doesn't help that, I might as well just say it, a reason why I haven't been making that many Dragon Ball videos also is because the same person who got me into that is technically the same person who got me into The Flash, which I'm not going to tell you who it is or why it's bad, but because, well, it's really sensitive topics, and that's not what I want to bring up in this video. But all I can say is he's someone who is supposed to be important in my life and was hanging out with a really bad person who also somehow got me into the show. Yeah, it's a lot to explain, and that's just kind of surprising now when I look back on it, and especially how it's really starting to get to me now. And even Sir Plaster Uzumaki, the Carnage God, he knows what I'm talking about because I talk to him every day, and pretty much he hasn't been that much in a good state either, and we're not gonna tell you guys why for obvious reasons. You don't know us personally, unless if you are watching this and you do. But anyway, and then last thing, also how because graphic novel number 2 was cut short into season 7, that's why I consider Bloodwork the true main antagonist of season 6. Now, don't get me wrong, I still acknowledge the fact that Mirror Monarch was also the main villain, or at least for her own story arc, but we're talking like actual seasons here, and despite the fact how her story arc started in the middle of season 6, it ended at the beginning of season 7. So, of course, she was a main villain, but when I think of the Flash, as in the big bads or whatever, I wouldn't compare her to the likes of Thawne, Zoom, Bloodwork, or any of those other guys. And the Speed Force wasn't really that much of a villain, more like a Civil War type of character in a rival kind of thing. So, I want Season 8 to actually be the season with 2 main villains. And I thought Season 6 was going to be it, and that it was going to be the season I would be waiting for to overtop it, but unfortunately it wasn't. So that's all I have to say, and I hope you found this video enjoyable, relatable, or whatever you want to say. And I can tell this is pretty long.